Bienvenue tous, welcome to Reporters here on France 24, and welcome, of course, to this week's reporter, Bastien Delobert. Good to see you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
He's brought to us a report about khat. Now, many of you know khat is a natural product, a plant. Many people chew the leaves in order to get a mild narcotic effect, or that's what we're told. I've never tried it, so I don't know. In places like France, Britain, it's banned. In the Netherlands, it's allowed, like many drugs are. But it's in Africa where this problem is to be discussed properly, because some people say it's cultural and it should happen, others are dead set against it. And Bastien, what was it that attracted you to this story?
Well, Mark, the idea for this report came to us quite easily. Here in France, we met some young Djiboutian students studying in Paris. These students use khat, and we became interested in the plant, which is a big part of daily life in this country in the Horn of Africa.
And it's people sitting around chewing on these things almost like cows chew on the cud. It's quite a funny thing to behold. They talk about it in different ways. 20 million people are regular users of khat. Let's take a look at Bastien's film, Djibouti's Khat Problem.
An everyday scene here in Djibouti.
There are animals, there are camels and goats. There's some camels, some cows. We have to be careful not to have an accident.
Swerving livestock on the road, this 4x4 is carrying precious cargo.
Here we've got 520 kilos.
This vehicle's carrying half a ton of khat. The drug has been legally imported from Ethiopia. That sort of quantity is worth tens of thousands of euros, and he has to deliver it as quickly as possible. After 2 hours on the road, the sacks are swiftly unloaded. From mid-morning onwards, Djibouti is flooded with these green leaves, arriving by sea, over land. Khat flows into the country at a rate of 15 tons a day. When chewed, the plant has a similar effect to amphetamines, and it's used by about half of the men in Djibouti. Its sale is controlled by the state, and the market provides work for some 2,000 dealers in the capital alone. Khat is responsible for around 4% of the country's GDP, but it can also represent a money pit for many households here. It's midday and Ali Houmed is headed home with his dose of the leaves. He works as a fireman and spends between 5 and 10 euros every day on the drug. His wife Amina has to make do with a daily budget of around 5 euros for the family's meals. The mother of 5 is fed up of having to go without.
If he stopped with the khat, we could buy a house. We could have meat for dinner, hey? We want to buy the children clothes, buy them shoes. If you were to stop taking it, that's a lot of extra money.
Since he's been using khat, Amina says her husband is a different man.
Before, we were in love. Now he's just in love with khat, not with me.
Today, the children have meat with their meal, an expense reserved for special occasions. Their father's aware of the impact of his khat consumption on his family, but he feels trapped by his addiction. Ali says he can't control his desire to nibble or chew the leaves.
There is one thing, something that just pushes you. It's like a clock that chimes at a certain time and says to you, go on. Go find something to nibble on. Even if you don't have any money. You go and ask the dealer to give you credit. And then it just goes on like that.
When he's not working, Ali spends his afternoons at home with his friends. As the Khat takes hold, he loses track of time, and he's overwhelmed by a sort of gentle euphoria.
When you take Khat, you get away from money problems. You get away from problems at home. You get away from all the problems that are weighing you down. When you take Khat, you escape from all the problems in your life that you have to deal with.
This family's representative of many in Djibouti. On average, 40% of household budgets go towards Khat. Chewing the leaves has developed from an ancestral ritual to a modern economy, which grew by 7% last year thanks to foreign investment. While it's forbidden in offices and public sector jobs, Khat is tolerated on building sites. Aburak comes here every day around lunchtime to stock up on essential provisions. At the site where he works in the centre of Djibouti, conditions are harsh, with men toiling in the 40-degree heat. The welder, who's originally from Yemen, has been chewing Khat since adolescence, and he's reputed for the quality of his work.
Once I start nibbling, I feel lighter. So much that I actually work a bit more. I feel much more relaxed when I start nibbling. I feel this urge to work more.
For his co-worker, it's impossible to do without it.
When I'm on Khat, I can't feel my body anymore. Even if a steel bar fell on me, I wouldn't feel it. If there was some sort of exceptional circumstance, I could go to work without Khat, but I'd be a lot less effective.
A stimulant for the workers, it also allows thousands of people involved in the Khat trade to make a living. And as the country's largest informal economic sector, it's an important source of income for the state. Taxed at some €6 per kilo, the plant accounts for 15% of tax revenues. That's around €15 million every year. With so much at stake, the government admits it's difficult to take effective action against the high consumption levels.
We can't make decrees or laws or take drastic measures by which we say, all right, as of tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, consuming Khat or importing Khat is illegal. There's an entire economic sector which has grown up around the Khat trade. And that issue is at the heart of our long-term vision. Looking at how we can create an alternative, another kind of commercial interest, so that those who live from this trade do not find themselves without any income from one day to the next.
Since the country's independence, the state has the monopoly on all sales of Khat. It maintains that with the help of 144 families selected as lifelong shareholders in the Socio-economic organization, which oversees Khat imports. For the last 40 years, it's had a stranglehold on the majority of activity in the sector. The annual turnover of more than €50 million ends up in the hands of those loyal supporters of the regime. Adan Abdul is a staunch opponent of the president and has called out politicians who use Khat to further their own agendas.
The Khat barons, as we call them, first of all, with these huge windfalls, they're very rich people who help prop up the ruling party, financially speaking. So they fund state projects. Sometimes these are controversial social projects, and sometimes they're buying people's support. During electoral campaigns, they also give out Khat as well as cash that the ruling party has put aside so that they can win over plenty of people.
These images were filmed with a hidden camera. They show Khat being distributed as people leave the polling station. It's a familiar scene here at election time. a way for the government to curry favour with the locals and to warn them against any attempts to challenge the results. Midnight in the north of the country. These men are working quickly and quietly, careful not to be noticed. They're carrying 30 kilos of clandestine khat. It's a variety known as koba koba, which is sold for 5 times less than the legal version. They risk 10 years in prison for dealing in contraband khat, but it's the only work this graduate could find.
La vie pour les étudiants n'a pas de sens.
Life for students is meaningless because they studied hard and have qualifications, degrees and all that. But they're not doing anything. They just stay at home the whole time. So I've put myself forward to take this risk so that I can earn a living.
Pour gagner ma vie.
We meet up with Mohammed and one of his friends the following day and pick up the trail of the clandestine khat. It's a well-trodden path that they know by heart. The traffickers get around on a motorbike until they get wind of a police roadblock, which forces them off the road. They take a detour into the mountains on foot. It's impossible to estimate just how much contraband activity is taking place here, but locals say it's on the rise. The Mukarram clinic is situated in a modest neighbourhood of Djibouti city. 20-year-old Abdullah has come to see a doctor for the very first time.
Come on. Come and lie down. Take off your socks.
It doesn't take Dr. Abate long to make his diagnosis. His patient has the classic symptoms of an excessive use of khat.
Here he's 20 years old, just 20 years old. And look at the state he's in. Khat is the major factor when it comes to health complications in the population here in Djibouti. Among the adults, you see cases of cardiovascular disease, the development of diabetes. All of these are illnesses that are chronic conditions that are very common in Djibouti, and the underlying factor is khat.
Abdallah has been using khat since he was 8 years old. Now as a young man, he weighs just 29 kilos. One of the many victims created by an absence of political action on the issue, according to his doctor.
I think that the government is focused on their own longevity, more than that of the general population when it comes to their health. Because there are no half measures. Either we stop with khat, and then people can start dealing with their problems, or we keep throwing khat at these people, which successive governments seem to have no political problem with. And I think that choice has been made a long time ago. The powers in place took that decision after our independence. And that choice is unfortunately one which compromises the health of the general population.
Even with the support of a doctor, Abdallah's not able to wean himself off khat, and there's no official protocol in place for those seeking help to stop using it. Yet the plant's socio-economic impact is being criticised by a growing number of people who are asking how these harmful effects can be curbed without banning the sale and consumption of khat. It's a significant challenge for Djibouti society in the years to come.
Bastian's still with us. Thank you for that report. Fascinating insight into the world of khat. And one of the issues, I think, where we really meet a sort of crossroads is the issue of religion. Some for, some against, and using religion to justify it.
Bien sûr, Marc, il n'existe
There is
absolument
no
aucun
consensus amongst
consensus au sein
Muslim
des
leaders in
autorités
Djibouti
religieuses
about the
musulmanes de
consumption
Djibouti
of
quant à la
khat.
consommation du
Some are
khat.
for
Certains
and some
sont
are
pour,
against.
d'autres
It
contre.
depends a
Ça
lot on their
dépend
own use of
énormément
khat.
du propre
Those who
rapport
chew
des
it,
imams au
or
khat,
nibble
ceux
as they
qui
say in
en
Djibouti,
broutent en mâche,
tend to
comme on dit
allow
en
it.
Djibouti, n'ont tendance à ne pas l'interdire. Et
For
pour
some, like
certains,
this
comme
imam
l'imam que
you're
je vais
going
vous
to hear
proposer
from in a
d'écouter dans
second, it's
quelques
even a way of
instants,
getting in
c'est même
contact
une
with
manière
God.
de rentrer en connexion avec le divin.
chewing cat, it makes us stronger. It increases our love of prayer, our love of God, our love of the Prophet.
I'm not entirely sure, Bastien, that the connection with God argument would stand up in court. I think that might be a bit of a problem in countries where Khat is banned, but of course in others it isn't. And of course other imams have a different point of view, don't they?
Of course, and even in this country, which is 90% Muslim, where Islam is the official religion since 1992, the Minister of Religion is officially against Khat, or at least wants to limit its use. The arguments put forward against it include law and order, hygiene, health, and also financial ones, as Khat really affects household budgets, so some imams are totally against it.
My way of seeing things, how I see the world, is that people have become slaves. Slaves to their own desires. They can't control themselves.
So as Bastien told us, the imams can't agree on whether this is right or wrong. But one issue I think they all agree on is that this makes money. Some people use it as their livelihood. It sells. It is a whole business.
Of course, it's a big business there. It's a real paradox for the economy of the country because on the one hand it fills the state coffers, they get around 15% of their budget from it, and so they can build roads and schools. But it also impacts massively on the productivity of the country. There are people who spend 7 hours a day using Khat. So you can see, as with religion, it's another paradox around the consumption of Khat in this country.
And it's evident that this plays a role in people's lives and they take it extremely seriously, and others are clearly against it. The only advice we can give you, because we're neither for nor against, but basically respect the laws of the country that you are in if you're going to use this Khat. This is Reporters on France 24. Thanks to Bastien once again for your fascinating report. Thanks to you for watching. See this again via our website, france24.com, and do stay with us.